Hey everyone, and welcome back to the United Star. I'm Atanu Vadva, and today I am joined by a very special friend. It's Matt from All for United WFC. He's also a member of the Manchester United Women's Supporters Club. You must have seen them among the stands in the first game at LSV against Reading. So Matt was one of them who was chanting a lot and singing a lot, and we were at home singing along with them. So welcome to the channel, Matt. It's a pleasure to have you here. We've obviously been on the All for United WFC fans forum a lot, and it's a pleasure to have you on my channel as well today.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I think it's great. I love chatting on other podcasts. Obviously, like you mentioned, I do all for United, but I think just to chat to different fans for me, it one helps to grow the game, and two, it's just good, just to sort of branch out, like I say, speak to people that go to games, don't go to games, that live here, that live in another country. So yeah, I enjoy that. So it's a first for me, but it's a pleasure.
Yeah, definitely. So before I begin, here's my request to all the fans who are tuning in, all the viewers who are tuning in. Matt is from the All for United WFC, and they've been doing some fantastic work over there. So why not subscribe to their channel, follow them on their new Instagram page, and follow them on Twitter as well. All the links will be in the description below. And while we're at it, they've been doing such a fantastic job that they've made it to the final shortlist of the FCA awards in the in the best in women's football category, in the local business category. So make sure to vote for them. The links will be in the description below. There are two ways you can vote for them. The first way is through the website, where you have to scroll down and select All for United WFC in the best in women's football in the local businesses category. Am I right, Matt?
Yeah, spot on. So yeah, like you said, you can obviously go to the website. I'm hoping, I say this, I think we've got the link pinned on our Twitter. I'm pretty sure we have the
But we'll add the link here as well. So,
Yeah,
it'll be more accessible to the people who want to vote. Who should vote, actually, you should vote for them. They've been doing a good job. So, come on, vote for them. The second way that you can vote for them is through Instagram. So there's a post on the FCA Awards account that the post link will be in the description below as well. There will be a lot of links in the description. So make sure you go through each one of them. So in that link, you just have to do two things. Just click on the link and tag All for United WFC in the comments. That's it. You just have to follow these two steps if you want to vote for them on the Instagram page. So just do that. They've been doing a good job and they deserve to win this. So vote for them. The links will be in the description below. Anything you would like to add, Matt?
no, other than thank you to those that have already voted, and obviously yourself, for really pushing it. Something we say at All for United, it's not about us, it's about the fans as a collective. And, recently this year, we sort of branched out. Last year was difficult with obviously the pandemic, but this year we really tried to push other football as well. We go to a couple of local non-league sides. Obviously when Man United aren't playing, that is. But yeah, just about pushing women's football as a whole. And I think that's something that obviously fans can really help with. And, like I said before, it's great chatting with other fans, even of other clubs. We get quite a few guests on the show. So fingers crossed we can win. But yeah, thank you to everybody so far. And, if we can get this final hurdle across the line and win it, then, that's everybody's award. That's not, my award or John's award or Natalie's. It's a collective. So yeah, thank you so far, and fingers crossed we can get to the finish line.
Yeah, so here's a trivia sort of thing. So, like, I've been doing YouTube for quite a while now, but my debut on YouTube was with Matt for All for United when the women's channel wasn't there, and the content used to be on the main channel of All for United. So I made my debut alongside Matt. So I'll remember that always because it was my first time on YouTube. And as Matt said, they often travel to different games, not only of Manchester United. They have traveled to FC United of Manchester, Charlton Athletic. They've also traveled to Leicester City's matches. I think Natalie and John were watching the Aston Villa match as well, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
You were also there, I think.
Yeah, on Saturday, yeah, we was. Yeah, the three. There was me, Natalie, and John, and we met a few friends there as well that we know from like Birmingham and Aston Villa. So yeah, it was good.
So you see, viewers, that they aren't just doing the women's Manchester United women's football content. They're obviously covering other teams as well. So if you want to learn more about women's football, the best source that I can tell you about is All for United WFC. And Matt is on two shows weekly. I think one is on Tuesday, the Matt's WFC show, and the second one is Matt and Ben's Saturday Night Live. So if you're ever in the mood to watch Matt with his tactics and talking with Ben, make sure to tune into his shows at 7 p.m. BST, if I'm not wrong, British Standard
Yeah.
Time, 7 p.m. So Matt, moving on to the main part of the video, we'll talk about the Reading game. Of course, you fans were there. How was the atmosphere? We could see your excitement, and we were as excited as you were. But what were your thoughts about the game, and how excited were you to be watching the game? And after 18, 19 months in the stadium.
Yeah, I think getting back was the first sort of part of the excitement. A few of us went down sort of 2-3 hours before kickoff, just to catch up. Because like you said, I think 18, 19 months, I think it was probably January, maybe February 2020 when we last saw each other. So it's been a while, but it was, really enjoyable just to see everybody and also catch up with new people. We met a lot of new people online. Obviously, we're doing the podcast last year, so that was nice. And obviously seeing the regulars that we knew. And yeah, I just think being back, like I said, was the main thing. And then obviously the game itself as well, bringing, like you said, the atmosphere, new chants as well. We tested a few of those out as well. Seeing players that signed last season as well. I know obviously that sounds a little bit strange, but obviously we didn't get to see those, So again, seeing the newbies from this year as well, and then obviously we got the win and a clean sheet. It was just a great day overall, and obviously it was the first game on Sky TV. So again, what a great way to, one, start the season, and two, to be sort of the first proper game back with fans. Obviously, a few of us went to Scotland pre-season, but this was the first one where there was lots of us together and back to the 2,000 attendance that we regularly get. So overall, yeah, really enjoyed it. A great way to spend your Friday evening.
Yeah, definitely. And you were talking about the Sky Sports deal, and the BBC are also there, if I'm not wrong. So how according to you, how important this deal is for the betterment of women's football? Because obviously, when women's football is accessible to people, more viewers will tune in, and you might see an increase in the attendance as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's big in two respects. Obviously, they've put it on the main BBC channel now, and it used to be kind of hidden away. So now it's on the main channel. I think that's attracting more viewers on BBC One and BBC Two. And I think it was Everton and Man City that they put on the main BBC channel. So that's good. Katie Zellum was on there doing the punditry. I think she was on with Rachel Yankee from memory.
I think it was the Liverpool. It was the Chelsea Arsenal game, I think.
Oh, is it right? Okay, so that was the Sunday. So
yeah.
Again, BBC, Sky, fantastic. I think the Sky deal has been needed. There's been so many times where people haven't been able to access games. But I think what's great about Sky is they've really sort of boosted the profile. They've done kind of big media days and, really gone into profile teams and players. And then obviously, you've got the analysis before the game and after the game. And I think, the women's game's been crying out for that. I think sometimes it's all well and good, us sitting on podcasts and saying, well, this happened and that happened. But sometimes with no visual, it's difficult. And I think it's great for people just to learn. You can really see, the quality of some of the teams that were having the WSL, that this is where they look to, win the games. This is where they need to improve. This player is a quality player because they've done this or this pass. And it's really sort of magnified now. And I think I read a tweet the other day, I think it was Molly Hudson, and she said something like 300,000 people watched the Man United game on Friday. And I think that set a record. So it just shows, doesn't it, after one game as well. And, without being horrible to Reading, they're not the biggest team we're going to play this year. So, to get 300,000 for that, I think it's fantastic. And obviously you mentioned the Chelsea Arsenal game on Sunday that they played at the men's ground. Again, great game, close game. Didn't expect Arsenal to win, if I'm honest. But again, we just, we're lucky now that we've got access to, quite a few games. And I think it's great that they've sort of staggered the matches. So there's games Friday, games Saturday and games Sunday because, at the weekend, I was lucky enough to go to 3 games because of that. So I did Friday, Saturday and Sunday. So, it's just great for football as a whole. But yeah, really, really pleased now that it's getting the recognition it deserves.
Yes, Matt, you're absolutely right. it's the access is there, and they are inspiring the newer generation as well, because right now everybody watches TV, like in the pandemic as well. So a kid who's watching women's football, a United game going on, and he or she sees Ella Toone playing. So of course, for them they'll idolize Tooney. So I think they are also inspiring the new generation as well to follow their dreams, and to follow women's football as well. So, Matt, coming to the win that we had, we saw the likes of Aoife Mannion, Wilde Borisa, Martha Thomas, and Hannah Blundell play, their first games. I think Sophie Bagley will get her chance, right? But right now, Mary Earps is the number one. So, what were your thoughts about the newcomers who've come into the team?
Yeah, I thought they did very well, actually. Like I say, obviously we got to see a few of them in Scotland, but I think just to see them against sort of a better opposition than we did in Scotland, and obviously it was competitive, so it meant obviously more than pre-season. Yeah, Hannah Blundell, I think for me, she was, I mean, I know they gave it Kirsty Hansen, but for me, Hannah Blundell was player of the match. I just thought she was solid, she was very good defensively, very good going forward. Obviously, Owner on the other side as well. Again, we saw last year she always supports the attack. This time she got herself a goal, and what a great finish that was. By the way, I had to double check. I saw that go in. I was like, is that really Owner? Just when you doubt yourself. And I was checking the shirt number, and I was like, yeah, that was Owner. Lovely finish. And then obviously, Vilde Borisa in the middle held it together very well. Some great passes. She kind of went unnoticed for me. There's a lot of people talking about the likes of Zellerman, Hansen, and Toone, but I think in there she did, a fantastic job, and just held things together. And then obviously, you mentioned Aoife Mannion again at centre back. Come in, looked very calm, very composed. She seems to be now, have put her injury sort of worries behind her, because she previously spent 2 years injured. So I think, listen, as long as she stays fit, she's going to be the number one centre back, and whether we play Thorisdottir alongside her like we did, or whether Millie Turner comes back, I think those two will be competing now for that last place. But overall with the new signings, very happy. Obviously Martha Thomas came on briefly. She didn't get too much to show what she can do. I think she got sort of the last 10 minutes, but it's going to take time. It was game one, but yeah, so far so good.
Yeah, definitely. I think Aoife Mannion, of course, calms the defense down, and she's a born leader. And in my opinion as well, she's the number one centre back right now. And Maria Thorisdottir and Millie Turner might have to compete against each other for that second spot. Coming to Vilde Borisa, a fantastic point that you made, that she remained unrecognized, and people weren't watching that where Vilde Borisa is playing, because others were playing so well. That's because I think to some extent Vilde Borisa was calming the midfield down, just as Mannion was calming the defense down. So she was kind of, the calming presence, making the midfield stable, so that, the midfield isn't exposed much. And I think this type of player we've lacked. Of course, we've had wonderful depth in the midfield, but to some extent, I think Vilde Borisa's addition has, bring out the brilliance among other players as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd agree. I think, like you say, I think sometimes, obviously last year we had Hayley Ladd, and I think she's quite calm, but obviously when she was injured, we seemed to be a little bit wobbly, sort of all over the place. And I thought, like you said, Vilde Borisa just brings that calmness. She gets stuck in, she can pick out a pass as well. The passing is fantastic. Like literally, it's sometimes hard to explain, but yeah, just she sees things that you don't expect. And I think, like you say, just the calmness and the balance to midfield, that maybe if the players are slightly out of shape, that she will be there and sort of, she'll just hold back a little bit rather than pushing on forward. But yeah, again, very good signing for us, and just adds competition to places, which is what we need, really.
Yeah, definitely. And you were talking about Ona Bhatiy's amazing goal. Even I was amazed to see her score, because obviously it was her first goal. And what a way to score your first goal in front of wonderful fans at the LSV on the WSL opener, in front of a new manager. And I mean, yes, Toone as well, amazing 2 assists. I think Blundell was the player of the match in my opinion as well, even though Kirsty Hansen is my favorite player. But Hannah Blundell going forward and tracking back when they were out of possession. I mean, we can see the quality in her, and of course, let's just compare it with the Chelsea Arsenal game. Chelsea was lacking those fullbacks, and I think we've got a good player from Chelsea. Even though we gave Lauren James to Chelsea, we got a Hannah Blundell, which she's an amazing player, and I think she improves like the players like Aoife Mannion, Wilde Borisa, Martha Thomas to some extent, and even Hannah Blundell. They straight away come into the starting 11, and they're not squad depth players right now. They come straight into the starting 11. So I mean, with that, with keeping that in mind, I think we've done a fantastic job in the transfer window. We should have, get in another striker, in my opinion, but that's fine. We will get one in January.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, a striker and I think maybe an extra winger. Just because, I mean, I've talked about this before, sort of Leah Galton sometimes, doesn't always complete seasons injury free. But yeah, I think a forward's going to be the main thing. One thing I spoke about a lot last year was our lack of goals. We came fourth, which was great, but we scored something like 47 goals. Then I look at that, and then I look at the top three who were in the 60s and 70s, and I just think, we only finished, I think, was it a point behind Arsenal. And you just think, with that extra forward or that extra amount of goals, we would have, maybe those games that we drew or those games that we narrowly lost, we might have got something out of it to get us in that Champions League place. So, hope for this year, like I say, I'm backing Alessia when she's, fully fit to, hit the target most of the time and probably be top scorer. But I don't want to sit here and heap all the pressure onto her because she's been, sort of out for nearly 12 months. But listen, we've still got goal scorers in the team. I'd just like to see, sort of that clinical striker. You look at Arsenal and they've got Miedemar, and look at Chelsea and they've got sort of, Sam Kerr, Frank Kirby. And I look at us and I just think, could we maybe find somebody of that really world-class level? Difficult without Champions League, I understand that. But, again, it's only going to raise sort of competition for places, isn't it? And raise everybody else's game if you have a few forwards. So like you said, we'll see what January brings, and fingers crossed we can find ourselves a forward.
Yeah. So Matt, finally, we'll talk about the Reading game, about the tactics, and then we'll move on to Leicester. So I just wanted to ask, we saw Ella Toone play as a false nine, or, maybe she was going into the box sometimes, but I thought she was playing as a false nine. And to some extent, I think when Martha Thomas came on, Alessia Russo came on, we shifted to a 4-4-2 with, two wingers on as the LM and RM. So I think we've got several formations. Marc Skinner has several formations in his mind right now. But what were your thoughts when you saw Ella Toone play as a false nine?
Yeah, it's something we actually did in pre-season against Rangers, and I think I'm yet to be convinced, and that's not because of Toone. She did an excellent job, and to be fair to her, she worked her socks off up there. But I think it's very difficult because, well, one, she's not used to that role, and I think two, it's quite demanding in terms of the press. If you looked on Friday, she was the first person to press, and I think if they sort of beat her press, the second person then needs to be there, and that's relying on your two sort of wide players, sort of Leah and Kirsty Hansen, to come in and support, which, don't get me wrong, they did at times, but it wasn't always there. And I just think for me, I'd either be having a front two or a front three. I just think it for the balance of the team and the way that we can play. And, Mark always talks about wanting to be an attacking sort of outfit, that's the way to go. Like I said, fair play to her because she gave it a real good go. She got 2 assists, so we can't complain. But I just think against sort of better teams, it may not work. I mean, Toone is not the most physical player, and she'll probably admit that herself. But I think she was so good last year behind a forward or behind a front two. I would just like to see a front two and Toone in behind. But I think the other thing it did do was that when Hansen and Leah Galton did come inside to support, there was quite a lot of room down the channels. And like we saw, Owner would push forward or Hannah Blundell would get forward, and it creates that overload, which is great because it's essentially your fullbacks are going into your wing backs, which is sort of the modern day fullback, isn't it, now that attacks. And then, you've sort of got those three in and around. And obviously Lucy Staniforth was there and thereabouts, sort of as the advancing midfielder. So, not like hugely against it, but I don't feel at the minute it suits the players. For me, if you're playing a formation, it has to suit the players you have. Otherwise, you're sort of, what we say, putting square pegs in a round hole, and it tends to go, a little bit backwards. But I think that's where our downfall was under Casey. You saw like a right back at left back or a a forward out on the wing, if I use Jess Sigsworth as an example, and I'm not a fan. Whereas I think Marc, like you said, tactically flexible, seems to have a few formations and a few ideas. And I just think we'll be a lot better for it. I really do. You can't play the same formation, the same tactics every single week. It worked for a little bit under Casey Stoney, but I think now we're looking to push higher. We've really got to be sort of adaptable. And like you said, fingers crossed that Marc is the person to be able to react to that.
Yes, I think you are right that, when Kirsty Hansen and Leah Carlton were going into the box and, Hannah Blundell and Una Bhatia were converting into a wing back and, going forward, there was a lot of overload, which is fine because you see we attack a lot. But on the counter, if by chance Una Bhatia and Hannah Blundell fail to track back properly, that will create a lot of the defense and the midfield will be exposed. So I think that will create a lot of issues, if they fail to track back, which I think they won't. I trust them to track back, honestly. But, that's something that Marc Skinner should have in his mind. And, I agree with your point that, Toone as a false nine is fine in some games, but against big teams, we need a striker and we need Toone as the creative player. We have Jackie Groenen, we have Vilde Borisa, but the creativity that Toone brings into the team is amazing. And I think her best position is the attacking midfielder position.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd agree. And like you said, I think just an out and out forward that is in the forward position, it really would help. And it's just about taking the game to the opposition. I think of some of the centre half pairings and, if she's going up against sort of Millie Bright, for example, who's very, very physical at Chelsea, and close to 6 foot as well. And Toone's sort of 5'7", 5'8". It's a little bit of a mismatch. But again, that might be something Marc addresses. Like you said, he might look at it and think, right, it was only Reading. And I know I read his interview and heard what he said after the game. He talked about finding that space in between sort of centre half and fullback and those little pockets. So in terms of that, we do know Reading like to sit back and defend. So maybe that was just based on that game. Obviously, one game in, it's sort of difficult, isn't it, to go into it. But I think after Sunday, we should have a little bit of a better idea. Leicester played 3 at the back on Saturday. So I'm thinking, he might go 3 up front. And then it's literally sort of a 1v1. So they're back 3 against our front 3. And I think that could work really well for us. Who knows? But yeah, I agree with you. I think we've got to look at that based on opposition the next time out.
Yeah, definitely. Now moving on to Leicester, of course, they have. So before we move on to Leicester, Matt, you were covering Leicester City last season as well. And, tell us about that experience if you could sum up into some words.
Yeah, do you know what? Very grateful, first of all, to the club. I think we sort of spoke to them, would have been probably the start of the season around September time. And it took a little bit of a while to sort, obviously, with COVID and things. And there was a lot of paperwork to sort of fill in for each game, sort of like health questionnaires and health and safety and things like that, and sort of equipment you take in. But yeah, after we come out of lockdown at the start of March, they were more than sort of happy to have us there and very, charitable and fantastic, with us. Literally, like, I can't thank them anymore. We got access to games, we got to provide sort of fans at home with that experience, with football behind closed doors. We literally did a bit of everything. We did sort of photography, we did videos, we did match reports. I got to speak to Jonathan Morgan, the manager, the day they got confirmed promoted. So, fantastic. And I think it's just nice because obviously, they didn't have to do that. But, the feedback I got from some of their players and coaching staff was they really enjoyed, seeing what we did. And there was a few players that even tuned into shows, which was, it was brilliant from our point of view. So, yeah, massively grateful. And then obviously the final game when they got the trophy was at the men's stadium, obviously where we're going on Sunday. So again, I had like parents from players tuning in saying, thank you for showing us this. And, I can't be there to see my daughter, but you provided us with, like a video because we went live when it was the trophy presentation. So yeah, like I say, really grateful. We got to cover March all the way through to May. So just a fantastic experience. And like I say, one that, I'm very grateful for. And Gareth was able to come to a few games and sort of, do some filming and match reports because it's difficult on your own. But it was just good because we got more content out there. And I think it helped us grow because, it pushed our name out there to a different set of fans, and they kind of follow what we do. And on Tuesday, I had one of their fans on my channel, so it's just great, and this is how it grows. Not only our sort of channel and our work, but women's football as a whole. So yeah, fantastic. And like I say, massively grateful to them for that last year, because it's not often it happens, shall we say. But yeah, we're fortunate enough to be allowed in there.
Yeah, and I've heard this a lot, that Gareth and you are big. You know more about Leicester City. So there's this joke going on that you might be supporting Leicester City this season. So, are you supporting Leicester City? Like, what are your expectations from the team? They've done well in the championship last season, and they've got some good players this season in the transfer window. So, what are your expectations? And against Manchester United, do you have a soft spot for Leicester City, maybe?
A little bit, but not against Man United. That much. No, to be fair, like I say, because I've sort of followed and known Charlie Devlin since obviously she signed for Man United now. Know her really well. So obviously, followed her at United. She left and went to Charlton, went there, and then the same at Leicester. And like I say, just built on relationships sort of that, formed last year. I think, the club, the staff, the players, they've, like I say, they were so welcoming last year. And I think it's just building them relationships. And, they always take time and say, if you are not at Man United, can you come and watch us? So it's just nice. And I think, like I say, obviously Sunday, there's only one way that's going to go, but I don't mind, watching them in sort of my spare time. Like I say, if there's no Man United, then I'll happily pop down to Leicester. But yeah, like I say, it's a really nice family club. And like I say, because of how welcoming they are, or they were last year, it makes you want to go back. You feel included, even though, it's not your team. Just literally couldn't have gone any better. So yeah, but no, Sunday I'm 100% United. I'll put that one out there now. I do get a lot of stick, and people like to joke and say, "Oh no, he's Leicester and he's this and he's that." But it's literally, like I say, I just enjoy catching up with former players. Saturday, Jess Sigsworth came out straight over to myself and Natalie. Hiya, how you doing? And same with Abby McManus. So it's great, and obviously anybody that's out on loan, I know Natalie's very fond of going to Sheffield, and Tara Bourne's there at the minute. So it's just a mixture of sort of, loan players, former players, and yeah, a little bit of Leicester thrown in there as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think you are right that, there's this sense of affection in women's football, and that's what I've felt ever since I have followed them. There's like, I'll put it forward that there's a lot of toxicity in men's football, if I'm being honest. And in women's football, even if I know someone from the Arsenal fan base or the Chelsea fan base, they will answer to my they will have the answers to my question, and they'll not be rude. Let's be fair, they'll not be rude, and that's what I love about women's football, and that's what I love about the fans who support women's football. And over the last year, I've watched United play a lot, and I fell in love with women's football, and I fell in love with the Manchester United women's team. So of course, you talked about Abby McManus, Jess Sigsworth, and Charlie Devlin, the ex Red Devils who are playing in Leicester. So you see all of them starting against us.
I think Jess will, and I think Abby will. Charlie's been struggling with a little bit of an ankle injury since last year. She hasn't played too much in pre-season. She did come on Saturday, I think, for around about 20 minutes, but I don't expect to start just based on that. I think if it was, a few months into the season, absolutely. But I think the fact that she's been sort of injured for a while, they'll probably maybe ease her in, but I'd expect maybe she'll come off the bench possibly at half time. I mean, who knows? You can never say never. It's always full of surprises, these lineups. I think some of the Man United ones surprise me at times, but I would think that Abby definitely, because she was given the captain's armband when their normal captain went off. I think she will start, and I'm pretty sure Jess will as well, because she again was very good on Saturday.
Yeah, definitely. And I wanted to talk about the captain situation. We saw Holly Morgan, who's been at Leicester for, I'd say around 20 years, if I'm not wrong, around 10 years.
I think about 10, 11 years.
Yeah. So she retired after, Leicester City were announced as the champions of FA Women's Championship, and they got the promotion. So do you think there's a transition? Of course, many players left Leicester City either on permanent deals, either on loans, and some new players also came in. So do you see a transition from one phase to another in Leicester City right now?
Yeah, I'd agree. I think, like you said, I think there was about 10 left and 7, maybe 8 came in. And I think they've got one more where they're still waiting on the work permit. So, yeah, I suppose transition is the correct word. I think, you sort of saw it when we got promoted that we had to bring in experience, the likes of Mary Earps and Jackie Gronan, Hayley Ladd. And that's pretty much what they've done. They've, like I say, they've got obviously Jess in there. They've got players from Everton and Bristol. And, that's what you need, that experience. I think, transition as well. They've changed formation, and I'll not go too much into that sort of, but they've changed the way they play as well. So not only have they got to sort of get all these new players in there, but they've got to adapt to a new way of playing. So that'll be interesting from their side. I think, like I say, it is needed. And obviously when you get promoted, listen, WSL is completely different from the Championship. And I think that's what they'll probably take from Saturday is the fact that, they had 4 or 5 chances and failed to put any away. And then we're on the sort of losing end of the, the scoreline. So it's difficult and, it's a step up and it's going to take them time. But yeah, transition absolutely is the right word because, like I said, it's just a different game. It's more physical. It's quicker. You have less time on the ball. The Championship might take you 10, 15 attempts to score and you can get away with that. And the WSL, if you're not putting them chances away, you're going to struggle. So it'll be interesting to see how they get on in the next few weeks. But yeah, it's getting used to it. I think the first 3 or 4 games, they'll just be looking to find the feet, finding out what works, finding out who's best position wise and who to start, and then kind of, build from there really.
And I just wanted to ask you, who do you think will be their key player? I know Natasha Flint has been their key player last season, and I think she scored against Villa as well. So in my opinion, Flint will be the key player for them. But what are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I'd agree. I think what's great about Tasha, and I'll not hype her up too much, is, she's very good with both feet. And you saw in the FA Cup game last year, she caused multiple problems to our back line. She's physical as well. She's not afraid to shoot from outside the box, which, sometimes can be quite rare. So I think she'll be one of them. I think obviously Jess Sigsworth as well, just for her work rate. We've seen how quick she is, how strong she is, how hard she battles. I think obviously, our backline will have to be sort of on the guard for their front two. And I think as well, if Hannah Kane plays, she's come through a terrible time with injuries. She was one of their star players from sort of December when she did come back last year and, chipped in with goals and assists to help get them promoted. And I think, Saturday as well, another good game. Obviously wing back's very demanding, but she caused numerous problems there as well. So I think those 3 players, we'll just have to watch out for, obviously bearing in mind that Natasha and Hannah both scored in the FA Cup defeat for us. I think, we need to learn from that. So if we can keep those 3 quiet, I think, listen, we'll be on for a good afternoon. So yeah, but listen, we've got more than enough players to cause them issues as well, which I did say to them, you better watch out for these lots. So should be a good game, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely. So, just this last question that I wanted to ask about Leicester City. What is their gameplay like? Do they, play from the wings, or do they attack a lot from the center, or, maybe they do play on the counter?
I mean, from what I saw Saturday, they do like to press. So, they had, like I say, a midfield 5 with wing backs.
Yeah.
And the sort of I suppose an aggressive press is how you sort of describe it. They're very quick to close you down. I think for me, the way for us around that is just quick 1-touch football, 2-touch at most, get the ball moved, drag them out of positions. But I would say probably the wings is where they will look to go. That said, sort of that midfield 3 as well. You sort of have 2 sitting and then 1 that's sort of advanced forward, a little bit similar to like when we had Toone in behind. So, we need to bear in mind that behind the front 2, there will be an attacking midfielder coming in as well. But on the whole, yeah, I think it's pretty much wing play with those wing backs. But that for me is where we can go and look at spacing behind, because if we can get control of that midfield, and that's going to be key for me, where that battle is won, in midfield, is that, again, we can cause problems. Because for me, I'm not a fan of a back three. And I've said this numerous times for United. You know, people say, oh, back three. And I'm like, no, it's so physically demanding on your wing backs because you're having to get up and down, and it's non-stop running. And it's just, you know, it's tiring and obviously physically and mentally. So I think for me, that's where we're going to have, you know, the success. If we can push those wing backs, you know, out of position or catch them high and then attack that way, I think that'll be, you know, where we can be successful on Sunday.
Yeah, definitely. I think you're right that, you know, when we play a back three, there's a little added pressure to the wing backs and the centre backs as well, who the left centre back and the right centre back. If the wing back hasn't tracked back, they have to go towards the full back position and, you know, defend, and then that creates a lot of issues for the centre back, the lone centre back. So last question, Matt, who do you think will be in our starting 11?
Ooh. I think I'm going to try and think back to Fridays and what I'd maybe change from that. I think if we can, this is going to sound harsh, but I'd maybe drop Leah. And I know that's going to sound really controversial, but I just think, you know, she started a little bit slow. She had a chance to score and she missed and it went over the bar. But I just think just to fit a forward in, you know, and that might mean that Toone ends up wide, but I think I'd rather a wide than, you know, as a false nine. Her on one side, obviously we can't drop Hansen because, again, she had a very, very good game and a fantastic pre-season. And then just forgetting an out-and-out striker on the pitch, whether that's Martha Thomas, it probably likely would be because Alessia's not fully fit. I'd go with that. And like I say, I don't know. It's either that or I think the other option would be to drop a midfielder, would be probably the most sensible way, you know. Leah was obviously the first one that came to mind, and I don't know, again, if she's fully fit, but she seems to start most seasons slow and then pick up. But the other option is obviously, you know, could we take Lucy Staniforth out? Could we maybe take Zellam out or Bo Rees? I mean, what do you do there? Because, again, it's very difficult, isn't it? You've got your captain, you've got Bo Rees, who we talked about before, and listen, Lucy Staniforth's coming into her own now. She's fully fit. So, yeah, there's going to be a sacrifice somewhere. I think, being honest, it'll probably be a midfielder at sacrifice. So, you know, if we took out one of the central midfielders and chucked on a forward, I'd go with that. Stick with the same, you know, the back four was okay Friday. You know, Reading were very physical. So I'd stick with that, literally all those four. Keep Mary in goal. And then it's a case of, you know, do you take Leah out or do you take, you know, a midfielder? It's killed me saying Leah, but I think it's got to be a midfielder, isn't it? Because otherwise people start saying you can't take Leah out. So it's going to have to be a central midfielder, I think, for an extra forward.
So Mary Earps, Hannah Blundell, Una Bhatia, Aoife Mannion, Maria Thorisdottir, Vilde Borisa, Katie Zellem, Ella Toone.
We'll have to take. I think. Do you know what? I'm going to take Zellam out for Staniforth. I think we'll go Vilde Borisa, Staniforth. We'll keep Leah left, Hansen right, and then
Toone drops as the midfielder.
Yeah, Toone is sort of like behind, and then we'll go with Martha Thomas. I think just for something a little bit different. Like I said, I would put Alessia there, but the fact that she only got sort of 15 minutes on Friday, she still needs to sort of, you know, build in that game time. And obviously she didn't play much pre-season either. So yeah, I think we'll go with that. That should be the team.
Yeah, I agree to that. Maybe I'll put in Jackie Cronin, maybe. I think Jackie Cronin will play this game. So
yeah.
And I agree to your point. Kirsty Hansen has been on fire. I mean, look at the preseason. She scored so many goals in the first.
Very good.
The goal that day also was very good. So, Matt, one last question. It's not related to football. Roger Federer or Rafael Nadal?
Oh, say again. I think it's broken up.
I asked. It's not related to football. The last question I wanted to ask you about who do you prefer, Roger Federer or Rafael Nadal?
It's got to be Federer. It's got to be Federer. Do you know what? I've idolized Federer since I was a little lad, and Federer is the reason why I picked up a tennis racket and why I coach tennis. So, yeah, listen, Rafa's a great player. You know, I've watched Rafa live many times, but it's got to be Roger for me. I just think just everything he does is just, yeah. So
I prefer Nadal, but yes, Roger is a fantastic player.
Yeah.
So thanks a lot, Matt. It was so fun chatting with you and talking to you, discussing tactics and everything. I got to know a lot more about Leicester City today. So thank you so much for that. So guys, Matt is from the All for United WFC, like I stated towards the beginning of the video. Do subscribe to them, do follow them or on their Instagram and Twitter accounts. Do follow Matt on his Twitter and Instagram. I'll add those links as well in the description. And the most important thing, vote for them in the FCA awards. I've stated this so many times. Please vote for them. They deserve to win. And I'll add all the links in the description below. There are many links. Please, guys, go through them one by one and follow the instructions. And while you're at it, do subscribe to our channel as well. We are nice people. Do follow our Instagram and Twitter handles as well. Anything you'd like to say, Matt?
No, just thank you for having me on. It's been a pleasure, and yeah, I've enjoyed it. So thank you, and like you say, just get those votes in. It closes on Sunday, so we've not got long. So, and then we'll stop going on about it.
Definitely, I'll also stop going on about it, and Matt will also stop. So just bear with us for till Sunday. So thanks a lot, Matt, for coming on. We are the United Star, and we'll see you next time.